Alright, everybody, welcome back to the next installment of this god-awful long series that I'm going to be doing. If there's background noise, I do apologize. There is not only very cold, freezing rain coming down above me right now, but also because of that fact, I have my little space heater here running on. And it's blowing my hair, as you can see, so I have to have something to keep my, shit intact. Why not wear a hat? Well, I am too lazy to go back in the house to get it. So, we're going to do it like this. So, today's topic. Anybody who's here from seeing the TikTok already knows. Those who don't. Really? You want to drive by right when I'm doing a video, huh? Some people. Anyway, we're going to be talking about Brachydios. One of what I think personally I've seen is people either love him or hate him. From what I've seen personally, people either love him or hate him. And when I first saw his release, I had kind of dropped out for a minute. I was there for the beginning of the 3rd gen, and then I kind of just really 10 solid seconds of train. just 10 whole seconds of train listening. Are you done? Okay, we're good. Anyway, so I cut out. I was there for a lot of Gen 2. I cut out after a try. Trains. But I get it! Anyway. As I was trying to say before there was an ungodly amount of woo, I cut out after a try. I came back in around the time of 4 Ultimate. So, I myself did not have the initial encounter with Brachy. But I did see him as and I promise this wasn't intentional. I did not mean to do 2 in a row. But he is a flagship. And upon seeing him be released as a flagship, my first initial reaction was that looks kind of weird. He's not your typical monster hunter creature. He's very unique in his design. And as time went on, a lot of people hyped him up, and they were like, "This is like my favorite monster. He's just amazing. He's great. He's fantastic. Checks off all my boxes, of what I expect for a monster." And to me personally, I never understood it, because I had never really encountered him until the time around. It was either 4 Ultimate or GU. I want to say it was GU. And does he live up to the hype? Yes. Holy shit, yes. Brachydios, or Brachydios if you're I don't want to insult my audience. I'm not going to do that. I know I was going to do this whole series of pronouncing it every way, because I'm either going to make everyone happy or I'm going to have everyone upset. And I like to follow, Syndrome's philosophy of when everyone's mad, no one is. But unfortunately, I cannot say Brachydios without actually wanting to vomit Scrabble tiles. So, Brachydios is one of the most unique designs I've ever seen in Monster Hunter, and honest to God, a very fun and interesting fight. Why should you like Brachydios? Well, it is a giant. He's just a fucking T-Rex that, a T-Rex banged an Ankylosaur, and now you have a T-Rex with a giant club for a tail. Not like your traditional bone club. I'm talking like a giant mace, like you'd see in medieval times, as a tail. And he's given up the way of the claw for the way of the fist. Like, this guy has 2 giant fists. And you know what he does? You know what he does with those fists? He fucking punches and slams and bashes your skull to shreds and pieces. I'm talking like, not only that, he's a flagship. He already has a lot, very big shoes to fill, because the flagship, as I mentioned in the Lagiacrus video, like, when you're a flagship, like Lagiacrus, like Rathalos, like Tigris, you have a big role to fill. You have expectations to meet. Brachydios meets these expectations and then says, fuck your expectations, I'm gonna do better. He's big. He's menacing. And he's a trailblazer. What do I mean by that? We'll get into it in a minute. So who is Brachydios? Brachydios was the flagship of the third generation. Not the flagship of the third generation. That was Lagiacrus. He's a flagship of the third generation in 3 Ultimate, specifically. And he shows up, and he just starts punching people. Like, we've never really been punched before, you know? Like, we've been slashed and clawed and batted away with, like, a pimp slap kind of thing from, like, mostly the monkeys from the Brachydios. Back then they were the Pelagus, but the Brachydios, I believe, is the term now. But, like, the most we got in terms of punching was maybe Rajang or Blaganga. Those two were pretty much the only thing I could think of off the top of my head that would punch you. This guy's whole gimmick is punch. Not only that, but he fills his role as a flagship. He is the big boy. You want to get to the big boy. You want to topple that goal, that obstacle. You want to get over the big boy flagship. You know what I mean? And his fight is truly fun. I enjoyed having to fight him. I really did. Now, some people can get a little upset with fighting him because, you know, some generations did him better. GU, I would say, did a pretty good job with Brachydios. Iceborne. Monster Hunter World Iceborne. A phenomenal job, and I'm going to go ahead and preface this. I will make a video, if I need to, covering the difference between a variant monster and a subspecies monster. But I'm going to go right now and just lay this on the table, and if anyone's confused, leave comments, and I'll either address the comments or I'll make a video covering, you know, what the difference is. But I will not be doing videos on a monster and then including its variant. I will do the variants, yes, I will, in their own videos, because they are their own monsters. I mentioned in the Lagiacrus video last time, Ivory Lagiacrus. That is a subspecies. There is another version. There is a variant. Ancient Abyssal Lagiacrus. I think he's just called Abyssal Lagiacrus. I will cover Abyssal at a different point, and I will cover Raging Brachydios at another point. There are some subspecies. I don't think they're canon, though. From what I understand and what I've seen and researched, they are only in Monster Hunter Explorer. I'm not entirely sure what that is myself. I've never heard of that till I did this research. But there are 2. I think there's 2. There might be 3. One of them is a robot. That's all I know. It's pretty cool. So Brachy is very interesting, and I'm going to get into this now. He is a trailblazer. For those of you who are, like, Gen 5 only, like, you're new to this whole thing, I'm talking World, Iceborne, Rise, Sunbreak. Before Brachydios, we did not have Blast Blight, or the Blast Ailment, on a weapon. Brachydios is the first monster to ever use that element. He introduced a brand new mechanic to the game. Teostra, Lunastra, the entirety of Basilgeuse, his whole concept is basically based around, hey, what would happen if we took a B-52 and just shoved it in Monster Hunter? It's Blast Blight. Everything revolves around Blast Blight and the Blast Ailment on the Hunter's weapons. If you enjoy making that tasty little Teostra build where you have your dual blades and you're just fucking ramping up as much as you can, you're mixing in Gold Rathian this is mostly a Rise reference. If you're mixing in Gold Rathian gear and you're getting Teostra gear and you're just dual blading with your fucking blast element and you're just popping off explosions every 5 seconds, you have Brachydios to thank for that. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have that. So, Brachydios has a very unique fighting style. As I've mentioned, he punches things, but his horn on his head, which he does use on a headbutt towards the ground, and his fists, they are covered in a green slime. What does this green slime do? Well, it fucking explodes whenever it's, he'll punch you, and he'll hurt you. And if I'm not mistaken, the punches do inflict blast light. But if he misses you, you know what he does? He hits the ground. But when he hits the ground, it leaves behind a giant puddle of slime. This slime is on borrowed time, and so are you if you fucking touch it. What does that mean? Well, it means that this slime will change color as it sits on the ground. And the more it changes, the closer it gets to just exploding. And if you touch it, you have to not only waste time and your stamina rolling 4 times to get rid of the blight. If you don't, you'll explode. You'll just you'll just... Like, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But it's so cool because not only do you have to fight the monster, but it's an arena altering thing. It's an environment that you also have to battle. It's kind of like in the older games, even some of the new ones, I believe, yeah, because there's the environmental traps that they introduced in the world. You have the plants that produce poison pools. Well, back in the old gen, if you went into areas like the swamp, usually just the swamp, if you went into the swamp at nighttime, all the water turns to poison. So you have to, and in volcanoes, you have to stay away from near the lava edges or you'll start losing health. It's an environmental fight as much as it is the monster fight. But the thing with Brachydios is he can do this anywhere. It's not just an environmental thing. He can make the environment unstable. It's phenomenal. It's mind-blowing, no pun intended, but like it blows your mind. Like this monster came out of nowhere and just added a whole new mechanic in the 3rd generation of Monster Hunter. We're talking like the Lagiacrus generation here. This was before we got Hunter arts and things like that. He really, the 3rd generation is fantastic. A lot of people don't like to look back on it because they look back on it with negative viewpoints, like, oh, the swimming mechanic. It was a new mechanic! And as early as it came out, and on the system it came out, come on, cut them some slack. Yeah, it bombed. I'm willing to admit that. I said so last time. But the swim mechanic could be done better. And I think they should in Wilds. Gen 6, bring it on. Gen 3 added so much new stuff. And, the blast is just one of them. Like, the slime element is just beautiful. And, you're like, oh, well, he runs out, right? No, he just produces it. He licks himself like a cat and just puts that shit back on. Like, Brachydios is just, he's wonderful. He's a trendsetter. He's a trailblazer. He started a whole new mechanic. And this isn't like Try, where they introduced a new mechanic and it's just a whole thing for the game. No, this monster, not only did he introduce a new mechanic, a new element, but, like, the fuck? Not only did he introduce a new mechanic, and he introduced a new element, but unlike the swim mechanic, it stuck. It stayed. It was so good, they gave it to other monsters. Teostra never had that until this element came out. He was here before Brachy, and he didn't have Blast until Brachy came out. Lunastra, she only showed up in Gen 2 until World came out. And they gave her Blast as well. Basilgeuse, need I say more? Again, Basilgeuse, his whole fucking gimmick is explosions. Explosions! Like, so overall, do I think Brachydios is worth as much hype as he gets? Yes. He deserves hype more than any of the other monsters I've seen get hype. And it's so weird that I see a split of you either love him or hate him. Nobody's really kind of neutral on Brachy. You either love him or you hate him, and the reason you hate him is because you don't understand how to fight him. And that's fine. That's part of the whole process, is learning it. The only time, I'll be honest, the only time I have ever heard anyone talk negative about Brachydios is in the context of they just fought Brachydios. It's never a, hey, what do you think about Brachydios? Oh, yeah, and yeah. Like, it's never a, oh, well, he's the worst monster ever. Oh, he's just so unfair. He's bullshit. Oh, he's just an explosion everywhere. Punch him. Yeah, well, you know what? You know why you say that? Because you just got your ass beat by him. That's why you're saying that. I honestly, that I've been there. I'm guilty of it. I thought Raging was a piece of shit fight for the longest time. But that's just because I grinded the living piss out of him to get his armor set. Because the Raging Brachy armor set, oh my god, it's beautiful. But anyway, we'll talk about Raging Brachy in his own video. But, just, is Brachy good? Yes. Does he do what he's supposed to do as a flagship? Yeah, I would say fucking so. Especially considering he keeps coming back. He's been in multiple, and this isn't like a GU thing, like, you know, GU brought Laggy back because it brought everyone back. It brought all of them back. Brachy sticks around. Brachy came back in the 4th generation, he came back in the 5th generation, and not only did he, but his variant came back. Like, people love Brachydios, and I think it's for good reason, and I will put Brachydios, honest to God, Brachydios, you're going in S tier. You're the beginner. Not only were you the first monster to introduce Blast Blight, you're the first monster in the S tier. Anyone who's got to disagree with that, leave a comment. Why do you think Brachy doesn't deserve in the S tier? What could you possibly say against Brachy being an S tier? I will listen, and I will take your thoughts into consideration, and on the next video, I will update it if I am thoroughly convinced. But until that happens, Laggy, A. Brachy, S. Brachydios, you need to keep coming back. Honestly. I would love to see what they can do with Brachy in Wilds. Introduce a canon subspecies even. Like, could you imagine? Like, the subspecies in Explorer, from what I see, that's pretty cool concepts. Like, what if instead of, you know, like, I mean, think about, with Kieran, for example, Kieran has, in the 4th generation, they introduce a subspecies to Kieran finally, who instead of thunder controls ice. Why not make a Brachydios? I believe that was what the subspecies, I think it's called Frostburn Brachydios, if anyone wants to look it up, it's something like that. But instead of the Blast Blight, leave behind puddles of ice that, you know, can inflict Snow Blight. Like, that was something, not Snow Blight, it was something that used to happen in the 2nd gen where you'd get, like, covered in snow. Blangonga could inflict it, Gaia Drum could inflict it, I think, actually, you know what? I think Gammoth can inflict it in the 4th generation. I'll have to look into that one. But, give it that. Give it the snowman effect, the blight, that where you're stuck in ice and you have to use your shit to get out. But, honestly, yeah, that's all I've got to say about Brachy. Brachy's beautiful. Like, I'm singing its praises over here. I know with Laggy I gave some criticisms, but, I mean, the only criticism I can give Brachy is, like, I mean, like I said, some generations did him better. Laggy had 1 gen to go to be good. The second time he showed up in GU, no, he was awful. But that's because of reasons I mentioned in that video. Go watch that video if you're so freaking interested in it. Anyway, Brachy, the only thing I can say, I can't wait to talk about Raging Brachydios. Anyway, Brachy needs to come back. The only negatives I can think about for Brachy is maybe, I mean, off the top of my head, he's not even as aggressive as Tigrex is. He's not as in your face, he's not as fast, he's just, I mean, the only thing I can think of is the explosions. And I mean, you know, they do a lot of damage, sure, I guess, like, I don't know, upgrade your armor. I mean, really, I don't know. I might have rose-colored glasses, I don't know. But I agree that whenever I fight Brachy, I'm having a horrible time until I look back on it and I'm like, no, you know what, that shit was fun. And I go in with the mindset of, hey, this will be fun. I have fun. When I go in the mindset of I gotta grind, I think any monster's freaking bullshit. I mean, hell, I'll sit there and tell you that fucking Kelby are fucking, you know, bullshit. Because if I have to grind them for the horns, which, you know, thank God that you can just get ancient potions now. You get them all the time. I mean, I think it's, you know, having one. I think you can have 2 now? No, that's max. You can have 1. They never changed that rule. And that's good. If they ever change that rule, you need to go back to grinding for the horns. But I'm glad that we actually get them for free now in the newer gen. Really? I'm glad we get them for free in the newer gens, though, because, yeah, farming for Kelby is like, because not only do they run away and disappear, but if you're not even guaranteed to get a horn. unless you, bash them and knock them unconscious and carve it off them while they're, alive. Anyway. I mean, any monster that you grind is going to be bullshit. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm looking at this from a factual, objective standpoint. Brachydios, S tier, for sure. That's going to do it for this video, and hopefully I won't be too long till the next one. So I will see you in that one. And on my TikTok, if anyone wants to follow that and take a look at any of the updates for Mystic Portal Emporium or any of my SCP content. I do SCP content on TikTok, as well as updates for the Mystic Portal Emporium D24 system. So, anyone interested in that, head over to the TikTok at Portal Dweller, and I will see you either on the next one here, or I'll see you over there. And I'll see y'all either way later.